Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn, on the mic.
Hello, hello. It's so good to be back. I'd rather be in Florida laying on the beach, but if I can't be there, I'm happy to be here. Oh my goodness, we had some adventures. Oh, we got to do a shout out to Delta Airlines. I have to find out the flight number. On our way back, just a quick story. On our way back, nobody likes to fly an airplane. Nobody likes to be in the back of the bus. Well, we didn't get seat assignments. I don't. I'm a first class baby, and I don't mind saying it. It's just a whole different world up there. But, So we're in the back of the bus. You feel like you just shoved in there like a bunch of chickens on the truck. Yeah, and you got a kid. Yes, that was on the way down. So we get situated, and the guy starts. We had three flight attendants, three guys that were our flight attendants on this flight home from Tampa to Boston. What do we have? 4:00 flight. Yes. It's full. It's packed. They're handing out snacks. This guy behind me, who is wearing a face mask with his mother, and he's probably, 20 something. He's like, "Can I have a bag of pretzels?" He said, "Can I have a bag of pretzels?" And the guy said, "Sure." Or it was Sun Chips. So he hands him the Sun Chips. He gives him his drink, and he's like, "Oh, and I want whatever he had for drink." So the guy's getting him a drink. As he's pouring the guy the drink, the kid in the mask says, "Why did you only give me one bag of Sun Chips?" He's like, "Well, that's what we give for everybody." And he said, "No, my last flight, it's standard procedure that we get 3 chips." And he's like, "If you want more, just ask for more." But he was just he was being cool about it. But the kid was being like just so rude, demanding. "Well, I'm going to call the airline." Like, really, you're going to call and complain about not getting 3 more bags of Sun Chips? But just the way he was doing it, so rude. I mean, he was so rude. So the guy that's on the cart, he's standing right at me, and he says to his partner at the front of the cart, and he's like, "I'm gonna go take a minute." And I was like, "Wait, just before you do." So they had already started moving, and he pushes it back and he kneels down, and I said, "Hey, could I get 2 shots?" I said, "Could I get 2 shots of Dawn 42? And I said, "And a shrimp cocktail, and a throat punch." And I said, "And a throat punch to the guy behind me." And he just died laughing, just to reset his energy. Because I'm like, man, flight attendants get treated. I mean, there are some rude flight attendants, but they also get the worst of people. And I'm like,
because people don't like to fly. The airlines have made it, it's not glamorous anymore. Flying used to be glamorous. And now it doesn't have that glamour. And we all feel like, we're on a bus with chickens, like chicken coops.
yes, yes.
And we're all kind of shoved in there.
You're all shoved in there, like,
It smells like chicken.
like those chicken trucks that you're going to the slaughter.
I feel like that's what we are now. But I will tell you that I don't have that feeling on Southwest. I'm a big proponent of Southwest. I have really good experiences with Southwest. And I feel like they act like we know what we're doing.
Yes.
We fly all the time. We get you in and out. We get you on the plane. We have the systems down. They make jokes all of the time. There was one time there was someone who was still, getting something out of their overhead container. Then they get something else out of their overhead container, and the
Yes.
sit down, sit down, sit down. Trying to get sit down, sit down.
Yes. Sit down.
she goes, okay, okay, sit down. And, we're all laughing, and it just makes the mood. They're having a little bit of fun.
Yes.
And it's hard to have fun when
Yes.
people are traveling because your flight's late, this is delayed, you went through TSA, you disrobed, you got all your clothes off, your feet are on the
Yes.
floor.
And nobody likes being stuck in the middle seat. Nobody.
Right.
It's just a recipe for a bad. Anyway, so he went and took his break, and one of the other flight attendants, he was in the back and he was preparing his, he was preparing his stuff. And I just said to him, so I got up to use the bathroom, and I said, is it just me or is it everybody cranky? And he's like, I don't know. I've been staying back here. And I said, well, if it gets bad, I'm coming back here and hang out with you. So he laughed, and so we were just laughing. And so,
And I sat next to, I wasn't sitting with you guys.
oh,
I
yeah.
sat next to a woman whose mouth looked like a snare gun.
Yes. She's
And
pinched.
she was unhappy. I'm in the middle seat. I'm not thrilled about being in the middle seat. And she's got everything open, and I'm like, that's my seat. So she has to get up. So she makes a face, and she like huffs, and she gets her stuff, and she's like, step over my cord. And so I'm stepping over her cords, and I get in there. And then I'm like, well, she's not going to like being next to me because I have to pee every 10 seconds. Right? So she gets up to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, perfect. I'm going to get up and go
I'm
to the
going.
bathroom. I'm going to work with this lady, right? I'm going to work with her vibe. She's going to the bathroom, I'm going to get to the bathroom. And then I end up talking to you on the way
Yes.
because I'm like, my friends are not with me. So I start talking to you, and then I go into the bathroom. There are three bathrooms. Two are red, telling me that they're occupied, and one is still green. And I open it, and she is there. And she screams, shut the door. And I'm screaming, I'm sorry. But like, why didn't you put it closed?
Right.
And that did not make for her to be any happier when I returned to the seat. And I was like, I'm sorry. The door wasn't like, she goes, don't talk about it. And I'm like, we've all been on a toilet. Like, it's fine.
Right.
I didn't see anything. Your dress, you were.
Well, I did tell you when she came back, like I had the pleasure of using her restroom after she left, and I'm like, that was definitely a double, if not a triple flusher. So
She wasn't feeling it.
she was cranky.
So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt, but she's like, I can't believe I have to fly not feeling it.
Yeah, so we settled down, so I made, two of the flight attendants smile, and, because I'm still on my vacation high, and like,
Yeah, we
I'm
are.
just still wanna just be in my place, my happy place, and I'm not gonna let all these other cranky people wear me down. Next thing I know, one of them, he comes up and kneels down, and he said, "Would you like a glass of wine, or would you like some spirits?" And I was like, "Well, I don't think you have the 42." But I'll have a Cabernet. And he gave me a big cup, and it was full. So anyway, I just went back to them and I just said, hey, for just a minute, I just want you guys to know I appreciate you guys. And he said, no, we just appreciate you. And he's like, he was laughing, and I said, can I get a picture? So I will post that after the show. And if you see these guys, so I will post them, and I did not get their names because it was we had to sit down and get ready to land.
I
And
was trying to look, but because I don't have my glasses, I couldn't read it. Because, the writing's really small.
I did, and it is,
I'm trying to squint, and I'm trying not to stare.
and it's kind of blurry. So I just want to shout out to my Delta boys, amazing flight attendants. They kick ass and they rock, and just want you guys to know we appreciate you. You guys made our flight.
Yes, definitely. And we had a fantastic trip, but I have a random question for you because it came up
Okay.
yesterday or the day before. Did you watch soap operas when you were a kid?
Absolutely. General Hospital and One Life to Live. After school.
So I did not watch soap operas, and I'll tell you why. But
Why does he have
I
the
will
air
tell
on?
you, I will tell you that we sat down at Big Easy Bagel in Manchester, and they had the TV on, and they had General Hospital on. And Luke and Laura,
Oh my God,
all these
yes. You
characters.
didn't follow? Oh, Luke and Laura are still on there?
Well, I don't know
God,
how
they got to
old
be.
he is, but John
He's got to
has
be she's got to be 100 now.
in Mothers and everything. He's like, Felicia and Laura are still like, they didn't have anything else to do 35 years later.
Oh my, yes.
They didn't have a manager get them a new car. They're
Is
like,
Bobby still the nurse and somebody's running the cafe? Ruby?
so he says, you didn't watch it? He goes, I watched it. Like, because his parent, his mom and grandmother and aunt watched it.
Yeah.
And I said, no, because by the time everybody was getting into soaps, I was reading Stephen King
Yeah.
and all of these adult books, and I got really offended as a reader, wannabe writer, of all the amnesia that happens. Every time the writers get bored or want to go on vacation, someone has amnesia. How many people in one town can have amnesia?
Yes.
I've never met anyone with amnesia.
Something in the water.
Stop. How do you keep getting knocked on the head not knowing who you are?
Yes.
So I just thought they were lazy writers, and I was not participating. So
Oh,
I
that's
did
funny.
not get involved. But when I was 19 or 20, and I didn't get involved in 90210,
I didn't either.
but Melrose Place,
Oh, nope, not
I
either.
videotaped because I worked.
Yep.
So I videotaped, and when I had a thing, I would watch it, and my girlfriends knew not to
That's
call
funny.
my house. You know, it was like Tuesday at 11 o'clock at night.
I'm watching
I'm
Melrose.
watching Melrose Place. Like, what are you gonna do? I'm watching Melrose Place. You don't call me.
Yeah.
And then we would start having little Melrose Place parties,
Oh,
and they
that's
would come
fun.
over, and we would have our popcorn or our Chinese food, and we would sit
Yes.
together and like watch and then analyze and then rewatch because we were all talking over it. So I did get to Melrose Place, which is technically a soap opera.
Yeah. It's nighttime. Nighttime.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were hooked on that. You know, there was one Luke and Laura, something about an island. They got lost on the island. But, and also, you know, how many times can people die and come back?
Right. It's just like really shocking. Like he would be on the show 35 years later.
Yes. I can't remember One Life to Live, the Buchanans. I was like those. They were like they had a ranch and like Ace, the kind of cowboy, and there was always drama. But you know, you only had three channels. You had three channels growing up, and it's not like we could run to the library. Like we would go to the library, but we'd plow through your books. So then, what else are you gonna do?
So I
Our
would
parents worked.
yeah, I would videotape stuff off of like Showtime or HBO. I think we had
Mm.
both of those at the time, and then I would watch it after school with all my because my friends would say, "Don't call me." Like directly after school if I wasn't playing a sport because I played
Yeah.
volleyball. I didn't play soccer in high school, so I only had the volleyball season. Um, but so I'd have practice and stuff. But then the rest of the year it was like, don't call me until 3:30 when I'm done watching my soaps.
We would like to say hi to Brian from Kinsley Street Pizza. He is listening. And if you are listening, we like pepperoni pizza.
Yeah, that's our favorite.
Yes, and we'll give you a great review. So shout out to Brian and thank you for listening and hope we give you some smiles today. So we did I forgot what I was going to say about that whole. Oh, once I got my driver's license, I didn't watch TV.
Yeah,
Like we were out. So
absolutely.
that was like had to be like age 13, 14, 15.
And my mother was a clean freak. You know, we had vacuum lines on the carpet once the carpet was vacuumed, which it was every day.
Yeah, you got to
So I
tiptoe and you don't yeah.
because you weren't allowed in that room.
It's funny.
So I was like a spider monkey going from piece of furniture to piece of furniture and scrubbing
Yes.
around. I would go on the arm of the chair, then a coffee table, then another coffee table, and then get on the couch. And I would sit perched like a bird so lightly so I didn't make a dent in the firm cushion, and then I would spider monkey my way back out.
Yes. Oh my god, that was funny.
Yeah. So, but because she was so clean, she was often, if she was home, she was like, get outside. So sometimes I would throw a tennis ball against the stairs. You know, if you didn't have a friend around, or you know, you throw a tennis ball against the stairs, or
Yes.
go down and hit a tennis ball against the wall, and then you would hope, you know, your friend would call
Y-
you to the soap opera because then you'd get together. But there was a lot of
Yes.
homework. I went to Catholic school. We did homework.
Oh. Yeah, I avoided homework like the plague. I just, you know,
Don't want any part of that.
yeah. I felt like it was just, it's a restriction. Like, school was not a priority for me.
I
And I
loved
just,
reading and I loved learning, so I could suck it up if I was interested in the topic. But if I wasn't
y-
interested,
yes.
it was like, how quickly can I get to this minimal amount of effort?
Yes. I feel like English you could get through, Latin I could get through, history I liked. Math and science are like, I think a lot of it has to do with the teacher too. You know, how you keep somebody engaged. And I know you've got 20 some kids in the class and that can't cater to everybody, but, you know, I'm more of an interactive, you know, I don't like to sit still. I mean, if I sit still, I have to be captivated. Even watching a movie, like I will get up. Oh, I just thought of this, or oh, I gotta go do this, or I gotta go do that, I gotta do this, and I come back down, and Chris is like, okay. He's actually gotten better over the years. He's like, all right, this is what you missed.
Do you know what I just started watching? Righteous Gemstones.
Right? Oh my
The
goodness.
Fisher family.
Yes.
Hilarious.
Yes, it is. That is a good one to watch.
Yeah, so we tried to watch it the other night and the TV just wouldn't play it. We played other things and not that, so I guess we're not watching TV. So this is how much tolerance I have for TV in my life. If in 30 seconds the TV doesn't give me what I'm trying to do, I shut it off and I go do something
Yes, it
else.
was not instant
You
gratification.
know, it's like, because I really want to do this.
Yes.
So, I can go do something else.
Yes.
I can be more productive with my
Yeah.
time. You're
Yes.
listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590
Yes.
We had Meg, who founded Love Lexi, the intimates brand. She just turned 2 in May, May 1st.
Yay. That's
Congratulations.
awesome. Love new companies.
Yes.
And
And
seeing her grow is amazing.
yes, and I bought her underwear.
And what's your
Love them.
review?
Love them. And I'm just waiting for her to get bras in my size, which she said is going to be this summer.
Yes. Yes, I want to get a bra from her
The underwear is great.
and try it out. Well,
It makes you
I'm
feel sexy but comfortable.
yes.
You don't feel like, oh, these are underwear that look great, but I'm going to be kicking them out of my butt the entire day, which is
Yes.
I have an underwear eating behind. So underwear is like, it has to be good underwear.
We got a muncher.
And I feel like, you know, there's nothing like when you try to be, put together and graceful.
Yes.
There's no graceful way of handling that
Yes.
situation.
And for years and years, I used to always want my bras and undies to match. And now,
What's clean?
my rule, no, it's not even that. Like, I just waste money on underwear because I have time I don't wear them. Like, it's probably TMI. But I'm like, it's just, well, I don't need them. And it's uncomfortable. And most of the time, you're like adjusting them. And yeah, unless I'm wearing a dress or a skirt. Chris is like, I'm not wasting money on you anymore. I'm like, that's cool. We can put it into shoes or jewelry or
I love it in shoes.
outfits. Yes. Yes. I love. Actually, I'm sporting yours today.
I
I love
put
them.
so the shoes I wore.
Yeah,
I'm like really I can't fit my right foot into them, so I thought I need a new like now the ones that were a little bit from driving they get all scuffed up I threw away, but I gave you what 3 pairs of shoes,
2.
2 pairs of shoes.
Yes, and they're like brand new. And they're very comfortable.
Yeah, they're cute shoes, so I didn't cry when those got me.
Yeah.
Cute little
Yeah, you
shoes.
don't want to tear your heel up on the
Yeah.
bottom of it. Yeah. I'm trying to convince Chris to get a pair of those Italian driving loafers. They have the little bumps on the back, and he's like, nope. There's an F word that we won't say.
We do have the F bomb.
What's the other one? He's like, yeah, those are not for me.
Yeah.
I'm a guy's guy, and
Those are
I'm
for
like,
men.
no, yes, but I'm like, I don't, I love them. I see lots of men in there, them wearing them, and I'm like, yes, you have got the legs. You got the legs to pull them off. You've got the calves to pull them off. I think he's got nice legs.
I actually think John has really nice legs too.
I haven't seen John in shorts yet.
Oh, he's got so I am a girl who doesn't have stiff legs. So my thing was always to guys, especially when we were like the teenagers and guys would go to the gym and they would work their upper
Yeah,
body.
you don't want your
They
legs
have
to be
those
bigger than your guys.
no. And then they have this they used to wear they were the gym pants that were all extra lean
Oh,
saggy, kind of like the Z Cavariccis
yeah, and
the workout.
yes,
I love them.
not the MC Hammer pants.
But an equivalent gym equivalent of those pants
Yes,
in the 80s.
yes.
Gold's Gym. They were like Gold's Gym pants. And so they would wear these really comfy pants, and you're like, do you have a bed under there? Do you have a blanket under there? Because you're working out, and I used to say all the time, do squats.
Yes.
Stop just working out your upper body, your lower
I
body.
know.
Don't make me be able to like squat.
It is funny. You see these guys and they're like top heavy. You feel like you could just take your finger and push them and they're like topple over. Like, dude, you got to have some balance, man.
So, he has nice, meaty, strong legs. Well, he worked construction and landscaping, so he was physically active, and I
Yeah.
just think that built up,
Yeah.
going up and down ladders and all of that stuff. So he really built up his legs, thankfully, because he's got a bigger upper body too.
Yeah.
He's very proportional, but he's got nice looking legs.
Nice. I like nice legs. I think they're just
They're
it.
not overly hairy.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
not like a man.
Is there skin under there? Yeah.
Just pet it nice.
I don't think you need sunscreen, man. I think your hair is gonna protect you. Yeah. So you want to tell her a funny story about? So we're gonna do maybe some tales from Florida
Yes.
in mindset. Well, our adventures, we have learned grace on the go.
Yes.
I think so.
I will say that when you travel with people, so Robyn and her daughter Kayla and I have never traveled before. So you never know how people travel. You never know what they're like.
Yes.
I mean, you know what you're like as friends and everything, but you don't know what you're like on vacation because vacation's
Yes.
different.
They say like companies like good is like seafood. It's only good for 3 days.
Yes.
It's
But
true.
I was like, I miss you, and then the next day I was like, I can't believe I didn't wake up with you and go to bed with you.
I know.
So I didn't have that thing. Um, but you were wonderful to travel with,
So are you.
and
Next time we're getting seats together.
yes, we can't not have seats together. I'll probably try to
That
figure
was
that
my
out.
one thing about Delta, or well, that might be Expedia. Or that might.
Yes, it was
The thing
Expedia
is, it would not let us get our seats
assignments before.
when we're buying our tickets. So, because I think it's it's marketing. They want you to upcharge you. Like I want you to go back in and out because I'm going to charge you for it and blah. Anywho, what were you saying about traveling with people can be uncomfortable, awkward.
Or you don't know, well, you don't know because you're around each other 24/7. You're sharing bathrooms
Yes.
together. You're going to bed together. You're waking up together,
Yes.
and I you have to be respectful of how people handle the morning.
That is true.
So when Sexy Spouse and I first got together, we dated. We were dating. We didn't live together at this point, but we had to travel in the same car for work. And although I don't seem like I should be a morning person because I have insomnia in the morning, I'm a talker in the morning.
Yes.
And he is not a talker in the morning. He needs his coffee and he needs to chill. And I'm
Yes.
chatting the whole 45 minutes.
He probably wants to bang his head against the door, like.
Okay, you're not talking. Like, and then I realized, okay, he's never gonna talk, so you can talk and not expect a response, and that's okay.
Chris would just open the door and push me out and like, have a great day. He's not a talker in the morning either. But neither am I really.
But I tried to be respectful of like you had your cup of coffee, you had your thing, and even though I was just like,
I'm ready to go.
and I am whatever energy I have in life, it is amped up by a magnitude on vacation because I am excited and I'm
Yes.
ready to have a good
Yes.
time and I'm ready to do
Yes.
all the things. I'm like a kid at Disney World where I want to go on all the rides at the same time.
Yes.
That is me on vacation. So I really try to like keep it under wraps, but I don't do a good job of keeping it under wraps.
Oh, I think you did a great job. I think you did a great job. And as far as like traveling with someone and it just the fit and the dynamic and the chemistry, I think we align very similarly on things because we actually talked about it yesterday. Have you ever been on vacation with somebody and you feel obligated or there's that awkwardness where you and your spouse want to go and do something and they want to go like we can have separate times. They want to go and do their thing and so we've always been that way and it's almost like people don't believe you.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
People say they are and then they're not.
yeah,
Because you're like, oh, I don't want to go to that restaurant. They're like, but we were not going to eat together.
yes.
And you're like, no, we're not going to eat together.
No.
And then you eat together.
We're going to be on a date. We're going to do we're going to have a little bit of vacation. Yeah. Yes.
We're trying to be a alone person without saying
And it's and a lot of people get offended by saying that, but it's not has doesn't have anything to do with that other person. It's just, hey, I'm here in this beautiful place and we're on vacation and we're going to take time for our relationship. And I think that it's beautiful when you find like-minded people to do that because then there's no it's also a process too. Like we've been programmed that we should feel guilty, when we make a decision that might be displeasing. That we try to live by somebody else's expectations so much instead of being like. So I like to just put it out there. You guys don't do. If you want to go shopping, you guys go shopping. Or, hey, we're gonna go to the beach. If you guys want to meet up, let's meet up for dinner or whatever. And
I tried to give you guys that like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do like I'm good with pool or beach or this, but I did pack us quite full,
yes, you did.
and you had some surprises that
Yes.
you didn't know about, and
We did make two reels of this two of the two surprises. We didn't go on the pirate ship, but so when we start off on our venture, it was late at night. So we by the time we got into Clearwater area, we yeah. No, I think did we land at yeah, it was like 4 or 5 o'clock. We had gone to the grocery store and gotten some things. I think we were going out for dinner that night. It was at nighttime.
we went to the beach first to see the beach,
Yes.
and then we said let's try to watch the sunset, and we'll peek over to the place we were staying is directly next to a really good restaurant, and we showed up in our bathing suits because we just came from the beach. We
Right.
made some cover ups, and normally I've eaten there a million times in my bathing suit cover up at the bar, and they were just not having it that night.
They were kind of rude.
They were not having it.
I mean, like, you don't want to see these two hot women in their bikinis? Like, I don't, what? That's, you have a problem with that, but
Well, they seemed very stressed out, like they weren't prepared for how busy it was,
yeah.
and they weren't in the mood.
So maybe they just switched their dress code for dinner.
Maybe.
But,
Maybe they didn't want to tell us that, but
yeah.
what they were doing was like we wanted to ask the server or the bartender, could we eat outside? There's a whole outside section. There's an outside bar with seating all around it for food, and then there's I don't know 30 or 40 tables outside. We just wanted to eat outside. But we didn't. The hostess stand is all the way inside at the front of the really nice restaurant, and I know
Right.
inside when I go inside at night, I'm wearing a really nice outfit.
Right.
I do not want to go in my bathing suit cover up.
Well, it says you're not. It's not allowed. And so, like, how can we make the reservations? And she's like,
And they were like, you have to go inside. We're like, there's no tables outside, or do you know? And they're like, you have to go inside. And I'm
right.
looking at her like, do you know
You
what
just
this
shunned me
is?
for being in my bathing suit on your deck. What do you think's going to happen if I walk in the door?
So that didn't work out.
We should have just flashed them and just kept going.
So we went to a cool place that I had never been. We had Mexican,
I can't. What was the name of that?
Mad Beach
Oh
Cantina.
yeah, Mad Beach Cantina. That was a cool
Outside
place.
on the deck, we were still in our bathing suits. We had a great time there.
Yes. So it's getting dark, and we have to run to the grocery store, and we're leaving the restaurant, getting in the car, and I noticed that there's a zip tie on my door handle.
And then we noticed there on my door handle.
Well, I got in. I'm like, hey, did you guys like? There's a zip tie on my door, and my daughter is like, what? And she's like panicked in this alert. She's like, what? Are you sure it's a zip tie? I'm like, yeah. And Lisa was like, do I have one? So we walk around. Lisa's got one on her tie, and she said, that's being marked for sex trafficking. I'm like, what?
We're like,
Human trafficking, and I'm like, uh-oh. We literally have only been 6 hours on vacation away from our boys, and they're going to be like, you can't be left alone. And Cheryl at Fresh of Nashua, said to us before we left, are you guys going to need bail money? And I'm like, this is
what do you guys think we're doing? We're
we
just
might
going down there.
we might need something more than bail money.
So we grabbed some scissors and we cut them off. We cut the zip ties off.
Well, first we Googled it. She Googles it, and she's like, I'm not lying. And I'm like, are we marked? Did somebody put this on us at the restaurant? Like, where did this come from?
And so then we cut them off.
We cut them off.
And I don't have my weapons with me because I'm away. So we take scissors. I'm like, I'm gonna stab someone with broken scissors. They're gonna be so upset when they try to kidnap me. I'm gonna pee on them and I'm gonna stab them.
Yes. Gonna poke you with my fingers in your eyeballs. So later in the week, we did find out after we've taken them off, it was really to hold like the silver plastic piece on the door together. So
We said he can fix that. He can always add zip ties.
I was like, so sorry. We thought we were going to be kidnapped.
Right. We weren't about being kidnapped at the beginning of our vacation. We were just like 100% at the end, but the beginning we were not getting kidnapped.
So we're safe. We're live. We're back.
I didn't know that that was a thing.
I didn't either.
Because I was like, zip tying the door. What do they zip tie you to the car door? Like, what is the zip tie
I think I think it makes you pause to try to take it off.
Oh, and then they attack you.
Yes. And somebody else said the dollar bill under the windshield wiper, or, So I told Chris, and he's like, Jesus, can't leave you two alone.
Well, we did
But
go to a club, and
I definitely think that somebody would have taken us home if we.
we didn't stay at the club long.
Yeah.
Because we're like, we need to come back here with our men. We need our men with us.
It was like prey circling in, like,
It was kind of like, oh.
whoosh.
And said to Kayla, you're just going to get used to this. And I was like, no, you don't have to get used to this. You just leave. Because she's so adorable.
Yes.
Too. And I'm like, well, I think you're really cute. And then I was like, this is starting to become weird. Like, these are characters. No one's just dancing.
She's like, I don't know how I feel about this. This is my mom and my auntie here. Like, and these people are circling.
So we did, we're like, we're going to come back here with our men next time.
But that was a super fun place.
So
Super fun.
we didn't even stay an hour, but when I go and I the video that, hey, look where we are, because it was really funny when we first go and I say, oh, I'm going to take them to Goodnight John Boy. John's like, you can't go without me. To some place I want to go, And so we went to go and it was closed. And I'm like, oh, maybe this is the universe saying, don't go without John. You have to wait for John. drinks. Don't get moved. You lost your drink the first 5 minutes. Your drink was gone.
Yes.
So we were like, all right, we might get moved. We're just gonna leave.
So yeah, we're good.
We're gonna do this next time.
I'll have water and I will hold it in my hand until I leave. But
Yeah, and then we tried to like escape by going like to a whole different bar section, and we're like, we're not escaping. We gotta leave.
yeah, they just follow you. It's like, no, it's good.
Globbing on. I thought this
Yes.
was globbing.
Glob. Yes.
Ooh, and
It's kind of like when it, that glob thing that just kind of slides and it's like coming at you.
sticking to you, and you're like, I'm trying to get this off.
Yes. So one of our surprises is Lisa is a pilot, and we went up in a little small Cessna.
4-seater.
Yes, 4-seater. We saw we did do a live takeoff. I didn't know if there was any audio or anything. So at one point I was trying to hold my earphones over to hear so they could hear. Yeah, the talking and just a cool experience. And I think like one of my biggest takeaways. No.
Knew I was flying us.
And she's like, it was a little nervous, a little scary, but she's like, we're in.
She
You
did
know.
say afterwards, she's like, that was fun, but I'm more comfortable in the water than in the air.
Yes.
She likes scuba diving better than she likes flying.
Yes. But I think she is. I will try anything,
She will, and she was a great.
and she did, and I think she would go again.
Yeah, I think she would too.
It was I was laughing. Did you ever see my meme I made you? The red on red.
Oh yes, I did.
I was making that when you were talking to when you came back the first time, and you're like, "Oh, how do you get that up on your screen?"
Yeah.
It didn't send through, but we did. So
I took her to a surprise, and so she was my navigation. She was my co-pilot, so I would just give her my phone and give her directions and how to get around. And then I'm like, oh, I have a surprise, and I'm like, oh, I almost forgot that the surprise.
I know, like I can't take that.
And then so I said, okay. And then she's like, do you want me to direct directions? I'm like, no, 'cause you don't know where we go. So I take you guys over to St. Pete, and it's in the day. And she's like, maybe we're getting our nails done.
Well, you parked right in front, and she's like, "Oh, we're here." And I look up, and there's like a nail salon. I look around, I forgot what was coffee bar, and I'm like, "Well, she doesn't drink coffee, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon." So, because I couldn't see the other sign, and I was like, "That was a perfect spot."
Yeah. And then so I took them to the Chihuly Museum because that is one of your favorite.
Yes, yes, yes.
World is that art.
So if you have never, you should Google Chihuly. It's Chihully. So it's art. It's glass blowing, and
It's really unique glass blowing, and he makes light fixtures,
oh,
and he makes these stunning. That should be on our page too.
art pieces. I think I put it on there, but I will do.
I know I posted one. I pulled it.
I'll post a picture right now, but I think we did the reel.
But he makes flowers. He makes these design bowls, and you could watch a video of the work that he did. And I did almost get into it with the museum guide that takes your money because on their website they said there's glass blowing at 5:30, and there was not glass blowing at 5:30. Glass blowing happened at 4:30, and so I said, but your website says 5:30. He goes, but it's 4:30, and I'm like, then you should change your website because people are making plans based on your website.
Right.
It's not like I can come back here next week, but next time we're gonna actually go to glass blowing.
Yes. So I'm getting ready to post a picture on our Lisa and Robin on the mic
And I do
on their
apologize to
Facebook.
Chris because I just increased your kitchen remodel by a significant amount of money.
Well, and our chandelier.
Right.
Because the picture that I'm getting ready to post is the chandelier that I want. I'll post too because that one is just stunning. And
Seeing stuff in person too is just how do they even do that? Right?
yeah, so I would love to have seen it. I would have loved to seen them.
Do the glass blowing. We're gonna do it.
Yeah.
So we have to go back down because we didn't fit everything into this trip, and that's what makes the trip beautiful. Is the well, I planned this in a way because I've been going to this area for 30, no, 20. How old am I? Like 25 years. I've been going to this place, and I'm in love with this place.
Me too.
And I wanted you to fall in love the way I was in love.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to be here with me more.
Yes. So yeah, we did some real estate looking down there too.
We did. We went on some real estate tours. We did some daily little restaurant reviews. That was really fun.
That was fun. We didn't. We did. I feel like we didn't do as much work as we intended to do. I mean, there were a couple of reels and things that we made it, but I think that everything was meant to happen the way it's supposed to happen. And yes, that we're actually going to have on our show. So I also want to shout out to, oh my gosh, Lisa at Freaky Tiki in Clearwater Beach. She has got amazing shop. Yes, and she's from Massachusetts. So we're going to have her on the show. And we also met a dear, dear man that owns Sweet Sage in Indian Shores. It is a great breakfast lunch place. And talk about how when you're in alignment, so there's a whole big thing about how our vacation, there were so many signs that just of connection. And so we just shared with you the chandelier that I like. We go to this breakfast spot that Lisa has been dying to take us to. We walk in and he has the Chihuly chandeliers that he has made from different pieces, and he also has a plaque on his signs. He has all these signs, and if you've seen our page or followed us, Lisa made a reel of all of these signs, some of the funny, cute signs. One of the things that my husband always says is how you do anything is how you do everything. So the third day that we're there, and literally customer service is phenomenal. We walk in the door, he opens the door for us, and he is, shuffling people to like, hey, get a table ready for them. So really talk about getting VIP treatment. And this place has so much character, and it's the outside, and it's a garden, and they've got all these eclectic statues and sculptures and signs and yes. Yes. So he takes us over and shows us the Chihuly room, and we're like, oh my gosh, we fall in love with it. Our very last day, it was open. So we sit down. He comes and brings us a pina colada. We're like VIP service. He's sitting down, and we're just chatting. I happen to look behind me, and that sign is how you do anything is how you do everything. And I'm talking about alignment. We're sitting in this room that has the Chihuly, and now, Lisa and I have bonded over it. She's actually the one who first originally showed me the light fixture, and so I fell in love with it. So there's just so many ties. And John, who owns Sweet Sage, he's actually from Francistown, New Hampshire, or he's from Ohio. Ozzy Sweet. Yes. And so we got to see, so he's going to be on our show. Fascinating man. You will love to hear his story. Yeah, so it was like back in the 1950s and 60s, I guess, that he did a lot of magazine model for magazine covers. And he actually gave me one of his postcards of one of the pictures that he's taken out of his memory book. So just super, super cool connections. I was trying to think of the other. Yes. Or just meet up at certain restaurants and just have a good time. But so we're also supporting local businesses and, just learning to find out like our experience. There's so many ties to New England, and if you're looking for alignment and you're looking for things, yes, and just encouraging people to step outside of their comfort zone and just be a kid again, and hopefully that we spark some sense of we hit that spot that curiosity and that sense of adventure, and that you want to join us and be a part of it, because the more the merrier, as long as you travel well.
Right, as long as you travel. And so I feel like I did this with my nephews, and I felt like I did it every single time we were doing something. I would say, "Are you ready to have some fun?"
Yes.
And I say that to you, but I'm also saying it more to myself.
Yes.
Am I in the right space to do whatever we're going to go do? So I do say that a lot. And I
Yes.
realized, oh my god, I think I said that 75 times this trip.
Yes.
Are we ready to have some
Well,
fun?
and so when you make plans, and so one of the other things too, one of the great lessons that I want to share that was a takeaway. You know how stressful it is. Lisa has packed our schedule with all of these exciting things, and sometimes when things don't work out as planned, there's a lot of times that people get frustrated, and it kind of changes the mood. And so one night we're like 35 minutes, 40 minutes from Tampa, and we had decided that we were going to do like a little mini photo shoot on, what was the name of
It's called The Addition.
the Edition?
Hotel that has a rooftop deck that they decked out. There's a pool, there's a bar, and it's visually from the pictures gorgeous. And we thought, well,
Yes.
sunset up.
And they have these beautiful fuchsia colored flowers, like a wall of flowers. And so we coordinated our pretty fancy dresses to match the background, even though Lisa got that one wrong, but that was all right. She was going to blend in, so you all see was her blonde hair and her tan skin. She's hiding in the bushes. She's hiding in the roses. So on our way there, we kind of spaced making a reservation for dinner, so we ended up finding a spot. It was actually really good, but it happened to be a chain, and we don't really set out to do chains. Kind of wanted to explore, you know. Yes, but it was good. It was good, and that really wasn't the focal point of for that night. So we're on our way to the rooftop bar. It was about It's 20 minutes away, and we also have a comedy show later that night. So we were going to go to the rooftop, just hang out, relax, watch the sunset, have a cocktail. Next thing you know, we're sitting in the middle of the city in bumper to bumper traffic underground. So not only in a tunnel, and the cars, the horns are beeping.
It's like a Tampa hockey game.
Yeah, I don't.
So they shut off the city so that everyone can walk around. So we're in the middle of walking,
Pedestrian. Yes.
hockey fans blowing air horns while people are blowing regular horns, just stuck in a tunnel.
And stuck in traffic, and not once did anybody. And we were kind of laughing. And it was like, okay, they sunset said it was what 7:45 or something like that. I'm like, okay, we've got 3 minutes, ladies. I don't think we're gonna make it. But we weren't attached to the outcome, and we ended up laughing. Like, how wrong and sideways could it have gone with our best intentions? And so it could have been. It could have been it could have been a stressful night.
You could have been moody, like, oh, thanks, we're now in a tunnel instead of at the top of
Right.
the rooftop deck.
And so we ended up just making fun of it. And like, actually, it ends up being a better story. And we laughed so hard just being into it. And I just thought, and sometimes, as you were the one, as the event planner, you want things to go smoothly and run. And so I was worried that you might have a hard time, like, well, being disappointed that you didn't get to give the gift, and see, and for us to have that experience. And I just thought, you know what? I wouldn't trade this experience. I wouldn't trade this experience for being in the car. And I think that it's such a beautiful message. And I think that I hope it's one that my daughter will pick up. And it's one that I will remember when you're in it. Don't be so attached to the outcome, and just find the joy and find the good. Because the truth of the matter is, it's the energy that we want to be in, and it's the people that we want to be with. And so, yes, an amazing sunset, but we had so many more like beautiful views and things to see. We were lucky enough to see a manatee in the water, literally 10 or 15 feet from us. And then we saw a baby we saw a mom teaching her baby dolphin right in the surf. And I'm like, that's amazing. And I just feel like when you're open and you're looking for the magic, you find it. And it shows up.
And sometimes I was thinking of like that night I was going to dinner in Tampa, then we're going to go to the rooftop deck, and then we're going
Right.
I could plan us out, with a clipboard in my in my hair, in an airplane with a
And
clipboard
the
and the
megaphone.
megaphone. Everyone get in line. We're gonna have some fun.
Everybody off the beach in 5 minutes.
Get in the van.
Let's go, let's go, let's
Let's
go.
go, let's go, let's go. Because I could have, because I want to show you everything. I want to do all the things. I want to buy all the real estate. I want to go to all the shows. I want to see all the views. I could have that
Yes.
energy.
So back to the beginning of our trip. We're going to run out of time, but on our pilot, on our when our co-pilot, when we were on the plane, we're flying down the shoreline from Clearwater to St. Pete's. Kind of in that area, the water is stunning. And we're on our way back, and he's getting ready to say, hey, this is what we're getting to turn in the direction of positioning ourselves to land. And I had just said, I'm going to just keep looking out the window because it's on my bucket list to see a big animal. One day I know I'm going to be looking out of the window and I'm going to see a whale or I'm going to see a shark or I'm going to see dolphins from above. And I don't know why. I've always wanted to see that. And he's like, oh, Lisa, bank left and go just a little bit this way. And we literally circled around and we watched 12 dolphins. And I thought, wow, I just got something in the sky. I think because of our vibration and our energy, and we're just living in a space of gratitude in abundance and being so appreciative and grateful for the opportunity, you can't help but to infect the people around you. And
He wanted us to see it. He said, I got the place. There's this really shallow spot near Honeymoon Island where they're always going. So he goes there, and then once we see them, he's like, there they are. He's like, I've got the controls, and then he circles down so we can get even closer.
yes, yes. And like, just what a gift. And then he tells us, you guys need to go to Doc Ford's restaurant at St. Pete. And again, that was a gift because it was great food, a great atmosphere. The sunset was phenomenal. And it's right across from, there's a little jetty, and it's the St. Pete airport. And so you can watch all these small planes flying off as you're watching the sunset. Literally, the sky was just creamy orange pink. Yes, it was just a very dreamy, and we actually put some pictures up. I don't know, we'll put some more on. It's almost surreal. It's like it looks like a backdrop.
It looks fake, so I sent some pictures to John because he didn't surprise because he goes down and he knows. Did you take them to this place? Did you take? Don't forget to take them here. So
Yes, he's trying to live vicariously through our vacation because he knows what a great spot it is. And downtown St. Pete is beautiful. They have great little shops, restaurants, they have art. And then we actually were sitting there, and there's this jetty that goes way out into the water, and there's a restaurant and a bar. Is it Teak? Teak, and it's at St. Pete Pier. That is another phenomenal place to watch the sunset.
pictures because I was so excited. I have a new place to take them.
Yes.
I had something new that I had never
Yeah.
experienced. And I sent a picture, and he said that looks fake, and it did.
It did
It was
look
so
fake.
beautiful. It looked fake.
Yeah, I think one of the reels that we just posted was a little bit of our view out there, but it's sometimes the most beautiful things happen. Yes, you just kind of stumble into them and fall into them, and it just made me all the way back. And part of the reason why I was determined to make those flight attendants smile because
We
man,
had such a good vacation. We were not letting that end.
well, you're operating on such a high vibration, like, and it feels so good that you just want to give and be an outpouring. And
And when you're feeling good, it's hard to see other people feel bad.
yes, yes,
It's just like, oh no, I want you to feel better. I think there's a little bit element of that too.
yeah. Well, I think alike tracks alike, and I think being in that vibration is like I want to be in that. I want to create an energy, and I want more people to experience that because it's such a like we're really just one thought away from changing our life and changing our experiences. If we change our perception on we can just tweak it, just change the view just a hair. We have a whole different life that opens up before us. And so that is, I mean, I was teary like plenty of times during our trip, just so grateful and feeling so just rich, like rich.
I know. I think I made you cry 3 times. Good tears
Yes.
flying once at the Chipotle Museum, the amazing.
Well, but even sitting up there on the pier and sitting there, and we have another special guest coming in. We have met some amazing people from South Africa, and they said that we have their contact information. They've traveled the world.
They'll have a good story for you.
Yeah, how they met.
He has a great story. So we have a few minutes left. I'm just going to give you the story. So he says, "Do you want to know how we met?" So we're like, "Of course we do." And so he says he had gone through a divorce and he was very depressed. So he decides he's going to go to, was it South Africa?
I thought they met in Greece, or I thought they met in a different country.
Okay, they didn't meet in a different country. So he goes because he just needs to get out of wallowing in his misery about this divorce. He was heartbroken. So he goes to a voodoo store and he says, "Make me a love potion." And they haggle on price. And I'm like, you haggle the price of love potion? You can craft your love,
Right.
with less money? Do you know?
If you give me a discount, is it really going to work?
Yeah, it's gonna be like, well, you like them, you know. And so he wears the love potion. They settle on a price. He wears the love potion for 5 days and meets her walking in the street. And he said he met her. They started talking, and the street turned into a band. There was like a, I don't know if it was a festival going on, but then the band
Mm-hmm.
played and music started, and then they started dancing. And they've been together ever since.
Yep.
Married, in love. I didn't know where the love potion went. But
He said he's got it. They've got it in storage because they've traveled around. But just amazing, amazing human people. Like,
that has to be the best meeting story I've
yes.
in a long time.
We need to start a voodoo shop in down Main Street.
Yeah, making love.
We
This could be something.
got the chicken and the F bomb and the candles. So we got a recipe right here.
This could be something.
The funky chicken.
I don't know what this chicken is all about, but we have it.
It's George's toys.
Probably. So yeah, so we had just an amazing time, and it is proof, to me at least, that we do know how, with no plan, to make a plan. Like, I know I have a good time, but could I make someone else
Have a good
have a
time.
good
Yeah.
time? The way I was thinking it, the way I envisioned in my head, it was still better. It was still better. And we this
Mm.
summer we're gonna try to get some things together so that we have a community to go out. If you have any ideas or things that you want to do, or if you own a place and you want people to start coming, I want you to also put that.
Yeah, we would love to support you. We'd like to build our community together.
And we're gonna go to the top of the hour shortly, and we have a special guest when we get back. So
Stay tuned.
you're listening to Lisa and Robyn on the Life of WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, watching us online at WSMN.live, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. We'll be right back.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
Have you tried to quit drinking before, and much to your surprise and dismay, you couldn't? Have you tried therapy, meetings, and treatment programs, but still can't seem to stay stopped? Or maybe you live in fear that you'll lose your job, your home, or your family, and much more if you don't get this figured out, and soon. Well, there is hope. My name is Bill Nielsen, and I'm the founder of Nascent 24 Recovery and Life Coaching. And I struggled for over a decade. Yup, 10 years, trying to get it right. I lost jobs, 5 6-figure jobs in fact, homes, friends, relationships. I thought I'd never get off the merry-go-round or the roller coaster, but I did. And I've developed a proven proprietary process that works. Why does it work? Because it addresses the root cause and not the symptoms. No more Band-Aids on bullet wounds. It's a 12-week journey that will transform your entire life, not just the drinking thing. I work one-on-one with every single client, and your privacy and anonymity are paramount. The great part is that you don't have to leave your home, your job, or your family. Text me the word recovery to 203-241-1266.
services provided. Heaven Sent Home Care, where care and compassion come together.
Are you craving a delicious home-cooked breakfast or lunch? Look no further than Cookie's Diner, Hudson's favorite dining spot. But it's not just about the food at Cookie's Diner. Their friendly staff provides top-notch service, making you feel like part of the diner family. Cookie's Diner, conveniently located at 222 Central Street in Hudson. They're open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. and Sunday from 7 a.m. until 1 p.m. Call-ahead orders are always welcome via DoorDash or by calling 603-880-3424. Cookie's Diner, where great food and fantastic service come together.
The best deals in Nashua are at the River Casino and Sports Bar. $1 roulette, $2 pizza slices, $3 domestic beer. Check out our new 9-foot pool tables. Take a chance to win $200 during our famous Friday chicken toss. Open till 2 a.m. weekdays, 4 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays. Visit us online, therivercasino.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn, on the mic.
iHeartRadio.
We're everywhere. But listen here. Listen here now. Welcome back to the second hour. We have a lovely guest with us. I'm going to introduce her in a second. Her name is Barbour. And I did want to say that I have a new why for my gym workout. I need to lift my 50-pound travel size luggage over my head and into overhead compartments.
That is true.
Woefully, is everyone just going to watch me wrestle with my carry-on trying to get it into the overhead bin?
I don't.
Everybody wasn't going to watch me. No one offered to get up. None of the strong men offered to help me.
My daughter offered to help me, but I'm like, in order to, I think mine probably is, I'm matching my body weight, putting that thing up there. So I'm like, I'm going to have to get some more bigger biceps. One guy did lean back and he said, "Oh, let me help you with that." Well, you can help me push it in the last 2 inches. So, thank you.
At least he offered.
Yes.
So we have in the studio today an entrepreneur and business owner. Excuse me. She has launched in 2004 the Creative Feast to fill a void in the food industry. She packed up her kitchen and traveled and taught cooking to audiences throughout New England. And she also wrote a cookbook. I want to see if I can find that really quickly in here. I think it's called The Edible.
Oh, I'm sorry. Beautifully Delicious.
Ooh, beautifully delicious.
Which was about edible flowers, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so she wears many hats, and she is a public speaker, an educator, marketing, accounting, and customer service. And she has a background aligned with the need to be an effective legislator. She is a mother, wife, and friend. And she is going to be talking to us. She is from the community of Hollis. And we welcome you, Liz.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Thank you.
coming.
I'm delighted to be here.
So I want to know all about this cooking in this cookbook.
Oh, well, since 2004, I've been a cooking instructor and basically packed everything up in 4 containers and traveled all over New Hampshire, Massachusetts, into Vermont and Maine, and did cooking programs. So essentially cooking entertainment. So each program would be about an hour to an hour and a half, and it would include a topic or a slideshow. Many would focus on my edible gardens, which are in Hollis. and feature edible flowers and herbs, and then, but also many different types of cooking with that. I would do programs on intermittent fasting, which is another huge part of my life. We would talk about, supporting our local farms. How do you do that? And then every program included a cooking demonstration of 2 recipes and a tasting for everybody. So up until 2020, I was traveling all around doing that. And then when 2020 hit and everything was shut down, I got a call from one of my libraries in Massachusetts who said, "Hey, are you doing this on Zoom?" And I said, "Well, let me go look that up and see if I can do that." So within 2 weeks, I had my kitchen set up as a studio. I had 3 cameras going, and I was up online, and my business never took a break. So that's been very exciting. But of course, as people then moved back into in-person events, the online aspect of my business slowed down, which is actually perfect timing for me because together my husband and I have decided it's time to, focus on the next season of our lives. I do have one incredible client. It's AARP New Hampshire. So every one Tuesday a month, starting at 2 o'clock, I do a live cooking demonstration. So they broadcast that nationally. So my audience in some ways has closed down, but in other ways has, blossomed. So I'm talking and teaching to people in Hawaii, Alaska, down in Texas, all across the country.
Do you cater that for, maybe diabetic or low sodium? Because I feel like as we get older, we get all kinds of restrictions that come along with our diet.
Yeah,
I'm getting.
yeah, I'm not a restriction person.
Sure.
So and I'm not technically a nutritionist. So what I do is I try to get people back to cooking whole foods.
Yes.
So when you cook food in the way that, God created it, our bodies are fully ready to absorb the nutrients, et cetera. So it's really helping people to, number one, go back to whole foods, get out of boxes and packages. You should not be eating anything out of a box or a package. And then focusing on good, healthy oils. Salt is actually an important part of our lives. I think there's there's information out there that suggests that we're actually not getting enough salt. So that's a whole other conversation. But okay, okay. But I do try. Oh yeah, and so we can talk about that. But I do really like to. When we get older, I've been cooking for my family for years, as I'm sure you have. And we get a little bit into a rut and we have all of this food information coming at us. Don't eat this, do eat that. Here's a superfood, try this. And it's a lot of information. So I try to simplify that for everybody and try to help them understand that you are enough. What cooking skills you have are actually enough if you're just cooking real food. And then how do you season it so that it's flavorful? As we age, we actually lose taste buds off of our palate. Okay, so what happens is all of a sudden you're like, oh, this doesn't have enough flavor. So what can you do to heighten that flavor? Well, salt is one. Our body will actually eliminate extra sodium automatically. It just is made to do that. But the other thing, too, is if you add an acid like lemon juice or vinegar, it will heighten the flavor for you, and it could take care of that issue. And I know when my father was, I was taking care of him in his late 80s, he complained about the food where he was eating. Well, when you are in an assisted living situation, they are following the federal guidelines, which then cut down on sodium. So I made a little box for him that he could leave on his dining table for his crew, and it did have some salt, but it also had no sodium flavorings, herbs and things like that, but it had vinegar on it. And they found that adding those made their eating experience better. So with AARP, we're talking about an aging community, and they're experiencing, new things, and they're continuously being bombarded with, do eat this, don't eat that. So it's a lot of confusion. So I just try to simplify. We have a really fun time. I have some. It's not something that I've focused on. So I do have a YouTube channel, Liz Barbour's Creative Feast. So you can see a few of those. But if you are a member of AARP, you have access to all of that. So they actually, all of my other online cooking classes, I run the show and have the recordings. For AARP, they do it. So it's really up to them. But you can go to their website and you can see the upcoming classes. So yeah.
So what are some of your favorite things? So what are three of your favorite dishes that you like to make?
Well, I just let my son know that we're going to do carbonara for dinner on Saturday. So a really great pasta. There is a sweet shop up in Manchester called Angela's Pasta. So they make fresh. Yeah, I see you writing that down. You better.
I know it.
You do know it. So they make fresh pasta right there. Plus everything in there is imported from either Italy or other parts of the country. Their cheese selection is outstanding. They make their own sausage. Their deli selection is amazing. They do some prepared foods, a lot of frozen stuff. So I was able to get guanciale, which is a very difficult. It's like I think it's the cheek of the pig. So if you don't have that as part of your carbonara, you can use a really good thick cut bacon. So anyway, long story about one of my favorite dishes. We're going to do that. Lately, I have been on a huge pork run, and mainly because pork has a lot of fat on it and it fills me up. So I got to tell you, one of my favorite things is what my mom used to make when I was little. She wasn't a great cook because she was feeding 4 kids, but she would take thin sliced pork chops, and she used Lowry's seasoning salt. I don't know if you've had that as a kid, but I just do salt and pepper under the broiler. I could eat 6 of those in a row. Just something simple like that. And then, cooking up some broccoli, adding some extra virgin olive oil, salt, pepper, and a little lemon zest. I could live on that meal. So that's 2. Now let me see what my third would be. I do a lot with Instant Pots. So a Madras butter chicken in your Instant Pot. You just pour everything in. I believe that recipe is on my website. Pour everything in the Instant Pot, turn it on, walk away, and you're all set.
So this is the second time that somebody said you need to get an Instant Pot, and I was like, well, I don't really know about it, but now I'm second time. So it's got to be one more. Oh, and none of my appliances are ever on the coffee pot is the only appliance on my countertop. Everything else goes underneath. Like, no, not sitting down.
Yeah.
It also knows that it's unplugged. So when my kids were growing up, if I kept it under there, they would use the toaster oven in putting it away. Then everybody's got peace of mind that there's beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's unplugged. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up on diets. So I grew up with my mother on a diet. We were always following this 1,200 calorie. My first diet started at 12 years old. I have never grown an inch from 12 years old. I've been this height since 12. And I think it was partially a nutritional deficiency because my 1,200 calories were donut, McDonald's, pizza. I'd have one meal a day in the middle of the day, and I would starve myself the rest of the day.
SpaghettiOs was ours. Chef Birdie box pizza.
So part of that whole diet culture of being, I was never thin enough. My thighs touched. I didn't have thigh gap. That was a big thing. That heroin chic model. And it wasn't until I met my spouse that he was like, we have to eat. That I started eating real food.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden I could eat all this food. And then I learned to cook. Because I also wasn't learning to cook. I ate kids don't know what's enough. Like, I know what 16 hours of not eating is, and I'm not going back to it. And I know it is giving your digestive system a break, but can you tell us a little bit more about
So,
vitamins?
so I hear your story over and over and over again. I mean, we
It's almost boring.
yeah.
On the story.
Well, the word diet is not something I ever use anymore. Okay, so honestly, I was never a dieter. I just
Well, eating whole
it's
foods,
the
you don't have to diet.
exactly. So when you say you've starved yourself, so there's a difference between starvation and the choice of fasting. Starvation is something that's forced upon you, and fasting is a choice. So, when, in fact, you were doing intermittent fasting your whole life, and and you do as well. And how do I know that? Because you go to sleep at night and you
Right.
fast.
I was like, well, I really do because
Yeah.
most of the time I don't eat until 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
So right. So
But-
what you're doing is you're delaying your food consumption to a period of time. Okay. So let's say it's within a 4 hour period. That's maybe when you eat your food. Okay. Now we know that we want to fill that time with nutrient dense food if we can, which it sounds like that's where you're at right now. So all the time surrounding that all that open time, that 20 hours that you're not eating, you're right. Your body has the chance to effectively digest your food. Digestion takes the most amount of energy that your body can give at one time. So if you are constantly having to digest your food throughout the day and late into the evening, your energy is going to that. It is not going to taking care of damaged cells, removing and replenishing cells to bring in new cells, which it constantly does. That's how our bodies work. So what we want to do is in that 20 hours, you have to still give your body things. So what does it need? It needs plenty of water, and it does need salt. Okay, so if you are feeling I'm at 20 hour, 18 hours and I'm absolutely famished, what I would say is have some water, put a little bit of salt under your tongue, go do something for 15 minutes. You're going to come back and that hunger pang is going to be away. Now, one thing I recommend is you never jump into this. You have to work yourself up. So if you are somebody who right now you're eating, you're not, you stop eating at 8 o'clock at night, and then you have breakfast at 8 o'clock in the morning. So you're fasted for 12 hours. Then for the first week, you would push that to 13 hours and then 14 hours. You have to get your body used to this.
Yeah, like an acclimation period.
Exactly. Now, while that's happening, your metabolic switches are turning. So when we eat, our insulin goes up because it needs to process. So all day long, if you were eating all day long, you are having these huge insulin spikes and down. So you're up and then you're exhausted. Okay, and digesting your food from lunch can make you tired. And then how do you go on with your day? You're just going up and down, and your mental acuity is off when that happens. So when you're truly fasting, when you've gotten the metabolic switches to switch effectively, your mental acuity goes way up. So
The mental brain fog of advanced maternal age.
yes,
That we like to talk about.
yes.
That 2 o'clock food slump.
So you use this as a tool. So for example, you guys have a big interview, all right? You might consider, I'm going to stop eating at 5 o'clock on Wednesday, and I will not eat until after the show on Thursday. You're going to be on target. You're going to know exactly where the information is coming from because your brain is so tuned in to what you need to do because you have raised your human growth hormone in that fasting time and you've turned on what we call autophagy. So, autophagy is, it actually means self-eating, which sounds kind of crazy, right? So what happens during autophagy is your body turns in on itself and it gets rid of all those horrible cells. Everything that's dead, it eliminates it. And at the same time, your human growth hormone has ramped way up. So if you're building muscle, if you need your brain to be fully active, this is the time to do that. So on a workout, I'm actually doing a program at FitLab now called Ramp. So I do all of my exercise in a fasted state because
Like exercising in a
Yeah.
fasted
Yeah.
state because my stomach wants to digest or work out, but not both.
exactly. And then what you've done is if you've managed to have your fast, so say for example you're at like 18 hours and you go in for a yoga class or a weightlifting session. At 18 hours, autophagy begins to kick in. And so now you have added value to that workout during that period of time. So it's working to your advantage. So, these are tools that you can use on my website at thecreativefeast.com. I have a whole page on intermittent fasting with all of my favorite intermittent fasters. Hold on.
So
one
how
sec.
often do you do this every day?
I've done it every day for 8 years. But you do it every day too. And so do you. Remember this, when you sleep, you're fasting.
Yeah.
So now you're just pushing it off. So there are some great, important tools that you need to know about fasting. Let me just go back. Jen Stevens is the intermittent faster that I highly recommend people read her books. Okay? She has podcasts, but her books will walk you through. Fast, Feast, Repeat will walk you through and get you set up to do it. And I cannot. She's the one person in the world that I say you must read. But so tips and tricks for your intermittent fasting tool belt. Number 1, you must clean fast. So what does that mean? What can you have while you're fasting? You can have water. You can have seltzer. No flavor, no lemon, no artificial sweeteners whatsoever.
No coffee.
Yes, you can have coffee as long as it's black. I know, it took me I see that.
That's why I just said. That's why I just said. Well, so my kind of coffee is like I'll have a little bit of coffee with my cream.
So you're drinking a hot milkshake.
Kind of, yes.
Yeah, so when you put it into that term, suddenly it's like, what am I doing?
Oh no.
So, but if you want, so when you fast, you are staying in the fasted state or you're kicked out of the fasted state.
Yeah.
Once you open what we call your eating window, you're out of the fasted state. Your coffee in the morning has kicked you out right
Yes,
away.
yes.
Okay, so you're no longer fasting. So it took me 1.5 years to get rid of my cream. I was never a sugar lover, so I didn't do that. It does take time. It's not easy. You can go little by little and cut down. But as soon as you're able to do that, a couple things will happen, which will happen with fasting anyway. Your palate will become more heightened. So you will actually be able to taste what coffee is supposed to taste like. Because when we add something on top, we are covering or we are removing. I know for me, it was the bitterness. So that's why I liked yeah. So how can you remedy that? Well, cold brew. Just put the grounds in a canister, run water over it, put it in your refrigerator overnight. You can drink that cold, but you can also put it in the microwave and heat it up, and then you have that. So that will drop the acidity. You can put a tiny little pinch of salt, believe it or not, in your black coffee, and that will do the same.
Well, my mom used to do a little bit of salt when they were making the when she was making the coffee. She'd sprinkle a little bit of salt in there, and I think it would cut down the bitterness. So my question for you is: so is it not considered? So intermittent fasting, does it have to be a specific time? 20 hours? Because you were talking about 20 hours and then 4 hour. You have a 4 hour window. Is that the?
Because I'm only going to be able to eat one meal in 4 hours. So my spouse likes to eat at 11:30, 1 o'clock, and then he could eat again at 5 and then never eat again. I can't eat back to back to back like that because I haven't even digested what I did before. I don't know if fasting would then allow me to digest more effectively so that I could put more food in there, but that's going to give me one meal.
So every one of us is an experiment of one. Okay, so the whole goal of this is that there's no restriction until what you decide, right? So you can, in 5 hours, which I often do, is one of the problems is, how do I get enough nutrient food in me in 4 hours or 5? How do I do that? So my method of doing it, and this works for me, is that I try to load up either my first meal, load up on all of my vegetables and add some protein to it. So I'm on a sardine kick. Doesn't taste too fishy as people think, but you could use another protein if you wanted, chicken or whatever. And then for dinner, I will do mainly a protein and a little bit of vegetable. So for me, I've kind of cut out the starches. I don't serve bread anymore, although I do have bread, and I'm into sourdough, so I'm making crackers and things like that. So, but you can break it up that way. We as women and everybody in general has to get a lot more protein than we think, and that could also make a change for you, because protein is filling. So you want to fill up on that, and you want to fill up, have good fats, but it doesn't mean you want to overload fat. Remember when we heard that fats were good for you? I was slathering everything with all kinds of natural fats, everything. But the fact is if I'm putting a lot of fats in my mouth, then my body isn't going to turn to the fats on my body to be fueled. So you'll have a balance, but it will come pretty naturally when you start fasting. Now, some people are not breakfast eaters, so that's their perfect time to go overnight and into breakfast. They don't eat breakfast. They have their black coffee, black tea, water. Some people who can't switch from getting rid of the cream, they just eliminate coffee until they open their window. And then you can have that hot milkshake as much as you want.
Yes,
right?
I wouldn't want it. And I don't
No.
like coffee in the afternoon. It's more the routine and the ritual.
Right.
And I literally didn't drink coffee until like at least 10 years ago.
Oh,
I was
okay.
working in a lab, and I would have to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And sucking on a diet soda at 4:30 in the morning was not fun. So
Right.
and it was cold in the winter, and I'm
Right.
driving to dairy, and like, ugh. So I needed something.
Sure.
And so and then when I stopped working, then I started like, oh, here's my routine. I will go and listen to my Audible, and
Yeah.
or I'll do my gratitudes, and I have my coffee, snuggle on the couch with the kitty. So it's more routine than it is actual the coffee. But so I was curious It sounded like you have to go over the 18-hour point in order for it to be that added benefit.
So the added benefit of autophagy, yes. But even for someone who is only, say you fast for only 10 hours, just getting up to 12 hours will have a huge benefit for you.
Right.
This is like, yes, and this is like when you say to somebody who's never been to the gym before and now they're going to start lifting weights, they are going to have more progress sooner
Right.
than me, who's been working out for years, because now it's tougher, right? I have less change to make, right? But that person who's new to this, they're going to see success faster. Now, I will say with a caveat that there are some people that, because their body, okay, when you start the fasting, your body may say, you can't hear this, but it may say, okay, I know she wants to lose weight, but she's got this heart issue that is a problem. And so in the absence of food, rather than taking weight off of her, I'm going to start working on repairing her heart, right? Or she has a digestive issue that's really killing her. Because we're not eating all day, the digestive issue has a chance to heal itself.
Extra inflammation in your body.
Exactly, right.
Autoimmune issue.
Yeah, so if you are saying to me, all I want to do is lose weight, that sounds like a diet to me. And it sounds like we just need to adjust your thinking on how this is going to work and how you're going to benefit in the long run so that you stick around for the best part.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, it'll take 3 months. For some people, I had a woman I have an intermittent fasting group called Live Free and Fast. And one woman, she was a member for over a year and a half, and her issue was esophagus, what do you call it? Acid reflux.
Oh, yep.
For years and years and years. And she was on major prescription medication. And at this point, it's starting to eat away at her esophagus. She joined our group. She didn't lose a pound for a year and a half.
Her body was healing.
But she healed her esophagus issue to the point where she was no longer taking daily medication. Now, for her, that was life altering because all the food she couldn't have before, she could have. And she could go for now days and days feeling no pain whatsoever. So, it depends. I had another woman, she was doing the fasting just fine. She was in her 70s. She was having some mobility issues during the pandemic. I was doing online Zoom meetings, and she just started attending. She was that quiet person who never turned the camera on, never said a word. And then she called me about 6 weeks later, and she said, I could not move. I am now up and walking.
That's awesome.
But my husband's A1C is so high.
What is A1C?
So that's your
Long-term blood sugar.
Yeah. So for a diabetic, they always know their A1C level. So his was very high, and so she and he wouldn't have it. Oftentimes, you'll find the spouse is not in there. The spouse often is like, just tell me what to do.
Yes.
Or I'll just eat what you eat. Yeah. I don't need to know. But she wanted to know. So, for example, this guy, he was eating a banana every day as part of his breakfast because he needed potassium. Well, bananas are hugely condensed versions of sugar. And the potassium level, you can get potassium from eating greens.
And oranges.
Yep. But, you could find another source that doesn't contain the sugar, and the sugar was spiking his insulin, and then he was having a peanut butter sandwich. I was like, that's not...
That's
peop-
sugar, too.
Yeah, and people look at peanut butter like,
Peter's
oh,
terrible.
it's a great protein source. It is not.
No, avocado.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so... intermittent fasting can help with mental illness.
I wanted to talk to you about that. So I talk about this book all the time. It's called Brain Energy by Dr. Christopher Palmer. I don't know if you're familiar with it. You
No.
should read it. It's a
Yeah.
Everyone should read this book. And it talks about the fact that we have been treating mental illness with all of these medications so improperly, and that they can cure many mental illnesses, including bipolar or schizophrenia, with diet. And not, as in diet, like you need to diet, as in, are you getting enough B vitamins? People who are bipolar and schizophrenia are like so abnormally low in
Yeah.
vitamin Bs, so they reshock them and then change their diet and almost make them go keto, because keto can make brain seizures stop.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fascinating book. But May is Mental Health Month,
Oh.
and I always think the quickest way to know if how good my diet is, if I'm not paying attention to it, is how I feel mentally.
Yes.
Yes.
If I start feeling extra chaotic or really overwhelmed or something, I start going into what am I doing? Because both stress makes me eat differently.
Mm-hmm.
The stress of a work schedule where I'm not eating at home but I'm eating out changes and then I get into either in a good routine or I'm in a bad routine. Those are my options. We just came back from vacation. I didn't go to the supermarket. I'm trying to get back into a work schedule. I'm trying to do all the work I didn't do in a week. In this week where I have work, so now I haven't gone to the supermarket. I ate Five Guys yesterday. I haven't eaten Five Guys in probably 3 months. But it's all of that stuff, and then I'll know, wow, I'm exhausted. I just have no energy. And the brain energy is really interesting because what I learned in his book is most disease is metabolic disease. And he said that the mitochondria is the mighty mitochondria. It does everything, but it does so much more than we thought it did. We thought mitochondria didn't move, like all of these different things. And when your body doesn't have what it needs, it shunts resources from the brain, which takes a ton of resources. And then your heart is the next one. 5 weeks into it, I was like, I'm like, there's something distinctly wrong. And so I go, and then everybody I told in the process, the only thing I changed is I'm on this all-protein diet. And they were like, oh yeah, well that will give you kidney stones. I'm like, why doesn't anyone talk about that? We're talking about all this protein, but I was on a powdered protein because they were only giving me 800 calories a day, and it was all powdered protein.
What kind of a doctor was this?
Oh, someone in sale. He was a weight loss doctor. So it was one of those things, and then I have this heart problem, and then I'm in the emergency room with a heart problem, and I'm talking to this woman, and I keep telling her how I keep losing weight, and she's like, why don't you give your body a break? You're not going to lose weight when your heart can't beat properly. You're like, the last thing your body wants
Yeah.
right now is to lose weight.
Right.
And so they said to me, if we can't figure out what's wrong with you, you're going to have to look at your lifestyle. And I was just a work hard, play hard person.
120 miles an hour until your eyelids
Right.
close.
Right. I had 3 jobs. I worked plowing, so I'd be up 24, 45 hours.
Well, see,
every winter,
if they told you to focus on your lifestyle,
which I did.
then, and you had success with that,
I'm 100%
right?
cured.
But it's free.
It's free.
Intermittent fasting is free. So you are not going to have a doctor or a nutritionist advise this. I mean, some nutritionists are naturopathic, I would say,
Yes.
all the way.
Yeah.
Chiropractors all the way. But, our physicians are, regular doctors. The amount of nutrition exposure they have while in medical school, I believe, is like 4 hours. And then they don't focus on this. So, unfortunately,
Focused on disease.
right. And unfortunately, this is the issue that's causing disease. And so we have to change the way our doctors are approaching this. We're no longer, I don't think anybody should be shamed, but I think people should have honest conversations with their patients.
I have an interesting story for you. Our friend had a heart attack, and I'm in the hospital with him, and a cardiologist comes in, and she's looking at his chart, and so she says, okay, so what were your indications that you were having a heart attack? He goes, nothing, I had nothing, and then I just grabbed my heart on the stairs, and here I am. And she goes, you're diabetic, you have high blood pressure. She named all the medicines he was on. She was like, you were a walking heart attack. And I'm like, well, why didn't any doctor tell him that before putting him on all those pills? I think part of the problem is we think the answer is in a pill. I can fix
Yeah.
that with a pill.
Well,
So then
yeah.
you don't do
Right.
any of the work required.
But intermittent fasting will, done well, people are getting off of all of these medications. This is the beauty of this, is that you're self-healing when you do this. And
Well, I feel like for years, I've been in the healthcare field for a while. Well, actually, since I was 15, I started out doing insurance claims at a 15 during my summer school job. When you say like a naturopath, that's like an old school physician. That's like the doctors that we grew up. And now a lot of insurance companies don't cover the cost of a naturopath or a homeopathic practice. And it's really just old school medicine. It's like healing the body, learning to heal the body and treat the body. Instead of saying, oh, you're a little bit overweight, your cholesterol's high, let's put you on a cholesterol medication because that's going to make both of them money. And where instead of saying, hey, let's take 3 months, let's try to incorporate 10 minutes of exercise in your day if you've been sedate. Let's try eating oatmeal. Let's change your diet. It's not those. It's not, let's try that, and then we'll revisit it in 3 months to see what your numbers are. It's not that at all. It's immediately. So I get my lab work done. I get my lab work done every year. I had to have a surgery, so I had to get pre-op. I had to get cleared for pre-op. So I brought it in, and my doctor had said, my cholesterol is at 219. And she's like, oh, that's too high. You need to be under 200. So I went to my OBGYN, who was clearing me for surgery, because I'm like, she's cool. And she's like, let's heal the body. Yes, she's more heal the body. Let's do it this way. So I looked at her, and I said, would you be concerned? And she said, if I were a cardiac surgeon, I would love your numbers. My good cholesterol is high. My triglycerides are high. And my bad cholesterol is low. So all of my numbers together, and that's what they don't tell you. Like, oh, 219. And I'm like, so I'm not risk. And she's like, no, she said a cardiac surgeon would love your numbers. And so that was the first time I was like, huh.
You really have to ask the questions. And
But don't
look,
you think, and I'm going to stick up for everybody. How could we? Because but I said to the woman doctor who looked at me and said, "Your phone has not stopped ringing since you've been in here for 3 days. I don't know what you do for a living, but I don't know how important you are, but why can't you know?" And so that's when she was talking to me about lifestyle, and I was telling her, "Well, I can't lose weight and all this other stuff." And speaking of brain fog, I think I just lost my whole point of what she was saying.
You were going to speak up for everybody.
Oh, I was going to speak up for everybody because I said, well, what diet is the right diet? We don't know anymore. And she goes, yes, we do. And she said, for heart health, it's Mediterranean diet. It's some animal fat, fish protein, beans, legumes, lots of vegetables, very little fruit. She's like, we do know it is heart healthy diet. And I was like, because there's a new diet every day. Everyone's saying something different. I think confusion is part of the plan.
well,
So when
that,
people get
yeah.
really confused or overwhelmed,
Yeah.
why don't I just eat Doritos?
Right. Well, and also you have to, what we've lost is the doctors have lost the ability to be craftsmen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they're to their defense. Their time is limited to 15-minute increments. How can you
Yes.
change somebody in 15 minutes? How can you process? And they are also following a diagnosis code way of life.
Yes,
So
they're not
this is
allowed to be doctors
this
anymore
is difficult.
because
Yeah.
we have,
Right.
we have insurance companies and we have big pharma dictating how you. I actually had a doctor, he was a patient of mine, and he said, if you get kickback from pharmaceutical companies if you put them on their medication. The more that you push that, the higher up your rewards go. So it's like a system. It's nobody nobody
Yeah.
ever talks about it, but it's true. And if you actually, fear of losing their license or getting flashback for it, then they don't, or a lashing, they don't talk about it. But during and I don't want to get into that stuff, but during being in the healthcare field, and you saw a lot of people when Obamacare came into place and the restrictions that they were putting on doctors. I had a lady, a nurse at CMC. She's like, it is absolutely ridiculous. They had hired patient advocates. And what they do is they kind of keep track of your appointments, and they will come and knock on your door to let you know that you've only booked for a 15-minute appointment, and they will let the doctors know, and they'll pop their head in. And so it's not, they're not free. Right.
Right.
No, it's your insurance advocate, because you're going to push this doctor through to make some more money so that you can,
Right.
Anywho, that was my growl.
And I want to get, because I think it's so interesting that you have the edible food and that you have herbs, and I'm assuming that you grow your own food.
I do. So just to let you know, my gardens will be on tour on June 15th through the Garden Conservancy, which is a national organization. There's also another beautiful garden in Hollis that will be on the tour on the same day. So the Garden Conservancy, what they do is they invite home gardeners to open their gardens. I've always done a garden tour in years past.
Flowers and food?
I have edible flowers, herbs. I've just created a whole new shade garden. I've redone my front garden. So I live in one of the oldest houses in Hollis in the center of town. So it's only on a third of an acre. So there are a lot of small pocket gardens within my garden. So it's a lot of fun. And I grow easy things because I'm not a great vegetable. Well, I'm a green thumb, but not a vegetable green thumb. But Hollis has amazing farms and micro farms. So that's where I choose to put my food money, is to go there. Now I can grow greens all summer long, and I can do that. I do have, a few other things. I have a lot of things that are interesting, but combining the fruits, the vegetables, herbs within the garden can be beautiful, and that's what I try to show. Is that if you're going to garden, when we garden with plants that are just visually appealing but are not useful in any way for us nutritionally, that to me, that's a big waste of space and effort when you could be, for example, blueberries bushes are absolutely stunning in the fall. Why not replace all of your sunny foundation plantings with blueberries? Then you're harvesting blueberries throughout the season. And oh, well, you could do that. Yes, that could
But
be.
we did have a
Yeah.
show on with the New Hampshire Fish and Game talking about how black bears are food motivated and they don't. They're really not going to harm you. Protect your
Yes.
chicken.
Yeah.
If you don't bother them,
Yeah.
you're not going to get mauled to death
Yeah.
by a black bear.
So, not to bombard you, but we're going to run out of time, and I want to ask. So, I know pansies. So what other edible flowers? So you could tell our audience.
Let's just talk right now. Your forsythia flowers are edible. Your lilacs are edible. Your pansies, your
Really?
tulips are edible. Yep. If you have redbud, those flowers are edible.
Something every day.
Yeah. So nasturtiums we know are edible. Peonies are edible. All you can eat your hosta. It's edible. So it just is all in the timing. So when you want to eat a flower, you want to eat it right after it's opened because then it's the sweetest. When it's been sitting there for a couple of days and getting hit by the sun, it tends to turn bitter. Not all edible flowers taste good, but they have scents to them. So, for example, eating lavender flowers is a little bit overwhelming, but if you dry the flower and use it, then put it in with sugar, then it will flavor the sugar because it'll be heavily scented, and that's all part of the eating experience. So this is the same with the lilac.
We had some lavender lemonade in Texas that was really
Yeah.
good. I'm like, oh, I want to make that this
Yeah, and you can just buy edible. You can buy lavender oil if you wanted to. Yeah.
So I'm trying to think. So I grow herbs because I live on a fair amount of acreage, but I have deer and bobcat and bunnies. And I have every living thing in my yard. And we have blackberry bushes along the side. And I was thinking of putting blueberry, strawberry in along the back side, far away from my house, because I know that's where the bears walk. And I thought we could all share the bushes. So this year I would like to put in some fruiting bushes, but I already have blackberry growing along my driveway naturally and along the side of my grass. But I do walk out there and pick them. I know the birds get them sometimes before me. They're not very big. They're like the tiniest
So
little blackberries.
they're wild, right? So those are actually black raspberries, and they come out much sooner than a cultivated blackberry. I have them too, and they actually will grow in part shade as well. So
They are underneath my trees.
yes, yeah. So do get out there as soon as you can and get those. But if you really wanted to harvest, then you want to get cultivated blackberries, which will then ripen more towards the middle to the end of the summer.
So blackberries are my favorite berry, actually. And I do like blueberries, and I do strawberries. I do like red raspberries, but they last like a half a second in the supermarket.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if I could get those bushes. I used to have fruiting trees in my
Nice,
yard when I
yeah.
lived in a warmer climate. I had avocado and mango
Wow.
and papaya.
Yeah.
And to me, a tree is the best way because you don't have to do anything to it.
Right.
Nature does its own thing. Where I think I'm not enough of a green thumb to grow but I always do herbs because I think you can do so much with herbs.
Sure.
Get chimichurri sauce for your parsley, tabbouleh, basil. I love my and mint. I'm a big mint person.
Me too. Yeah.
But I'm going to try tomatoes in pots because I'm thinking if I just try a garden area, I would really have to wire it off because I think all the animals will just eat it.
Yeah, you don't have to do a lot to get a good yield. Like I'm not a good tomato grower, but cherry tomatoes I do very well because they're so easy. So I do a lot of cherry tomatoes.
Our growing season is so different. So if you taste a homegrown tomato out of the garden from Virginia, it's very different from up here. It's just we don't have the flavor. And I've grown tomatoes every year because I grow stuff for our salad, and I also grow stuff for salsa. So I'm like because I've never really had a space. This year, I mean, we have space now to do a garden. I don't like frogs and bugs and all that stuff accompanying me in the snakes. So I've always done potted potted tomatoes. They've done really well, but the flavor is not the same. It's just not the same.
What's really amazing, homegrown is garlic. I think you get the worst garlic from the supermarket. It is like practically already growing again.
Yeah.
It's almost like sometimes you get a potato and it's 2 days later you're like, oh, it's growing again. It's growing a new one. But fresh garlic is to die for.
Yeah. And you have to just remember to plant it in the fall.
Oh, I didn't know.
It's got to be planted in the fall for the next season. And then when the garlic comes up, it has this wonderful loop-de-loop top called the garlic scape. So once it starts to curl, you can cut that off and saute it in butter, and you can serve that on steaks and things like that. You can actually buy garlic scapes if you go into Hollis and go to, Low Farm or Brookdale Farm. You will be able to buy garlic scapes when they're in
I have
season.
to try that.
Yeah.
Because I know that I've never had them, but I know that you could do the fiddleheads, the ferns.
They're in season right now.
I was going to say, because ours are coming up.
Yeah.
I've never had them eat them.
So they're delicious. What you want to do with those is you want to get like a half a pound to try, and you want to blanch them first. So in hot salted water, boiling salted water, drop them in for about 3 minutes. You'll see all the brown fuzz come out. Then take them out because you're partially cooking them. You're blanching the bitterness off. And then you're going to saute them in garlic butter and serve
that sounds
them.
good.
Yeah, they're like asparagus in a sense. Yeah, yeah.
That sounds good.
I'm a big broccoli rabi person.
Yes, me too.
And everyone's always like, oh, it's so bitter. I cut it and then soak it in ice water.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets any dirt off, but it also absorbs a little bit of the bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
And then I take it, I steam it
Yep.
for about 8 minutes, and then I saute it.
Yes.
Garlic and
Yeah,
olive
so
oil.
you are definitely getting, that's what you want to do with these bitter greens, is you want to steam or saute. You want to do something first to get that bitterness out, and then you can do it, cook it up in butter or olive oil or whatever. Yeah, yeah.
So we're getting ready to close out, but I would like to ask you, do you have a Facebook page for your garden, the garden tour and all of that stuff?
Yeah, so if you go to the Creative Feast, I'll be putting up there, again, just a reminder about the garden tour. I'm also working on a project called Positively Hollis, which is all about Hollis. So if you want to check that out, you can go to positivelyhollis.com. We have a quarterly newspaper, our second edition, coming out at the beginning of June. So we're looking forward to
I would
that.
like for our listener and our audience, I would like for you, if you could make a post on your Instagram for the Hollis, the tour, the garden tour.
Sure.
If you invite us to collaborate with us, it'll show up on our page too.
Oh,
So
excellent.
we can help promote it.
That's
'Cause
wonderful.
Yes, so we
Thank
can come
you.
visit.
Well, I
We'd
hope
love
you
to
do.
have
I
it.
would love to meet you at the Garden Gate. So it's really wonderful to be with you guys today. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes.
You can.
Yes,
you
thank
can.
you.
I'm
Thank you for
available to
coming.
you.
Hey, and before we're going to be cut off, we just want to let you know too that she is running for a Hollis State rep.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited.
She's kind of keeping that in her little back pocket.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
she's a fascinating woman. I did too, and I was like, oh wait, we got one more thing.
Cookbook in there.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in. You're listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. We will see you next Thursday. Have a great week, guys.
USA News, I'm Corey Myers. Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said he is living with a dead worm in his brain. Kennedy, 70, said the remains of the parasite were discovered back in 2010 after he saw a neurologist for memory loss and brain fog. Kennedy was worried that it could be brain cancer, like his late uncle, Senator Edward M. Kennedy. He claimed in a 2012 deposition that what at first appeared to be a tumor was caused by a worm that got into his brain and ate a portion of it and then died. Kennedy thinks he picked up that parasite during a trip to South Asia. President Joe Biden sat down for an interview with CNN. When asked how he planned to turn the economy around, he said he already